Hello and welcome to Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I am Elvis, your host, and I'm here to let you know that this is a not safe for work podcast. We are teachers at the end of the week and really the end of our ropes, and we would like to be able to talk honestly and openly about these jobs that we love without getting fired. So we're going to be using pseudonyms, hence the Elvis. I'd like to start by giving a quick shout out to all of our Patreon patrons out there who subscribe to the Teacher Needs a Drink podcast Patreon. Here we go. Let's thank Jason F., Amber H., JJO, Brian S., Jeff S., Shelley K., Abby B., Ann T., Sarah B., Regina B., Anna L., Josie S., Sam B., India G., Lucy P., Mary E., Jamie B., Hope H., Aaron D., Kristen W., Vanessa J., Kate C., Mary C., Haley M., Barry N., Rylan L., Catherine S., Perla C., Kelsey W., RJR, Cara T., Kristen C., Johanna H., Tony and Christina K., Irma A., Rebecca J., Melissa M., Casey B., and Sarah N. I'd like to thank a lot of you guys for participating in the Teacher Needs a Drink Step Bet Challenge. We are starting our first official week 2 of this challenge, where all of us have put $15 on the line to try to keep up our active steps per day. And right now our pool is over $1,000. We've got about 70 different teachers and listeners from all over the world participating. It's really cool. So if you get a chance, check out the Step Bet app with the code TEACHER and find the Teacher Needs a Drink Step Bet Challenge. It's pretty awesome. We'll be doing another one soon. All right, I'd also like to thank our other sponsor, Ludlam Dramatics. That's right, if you are a theater teacher or if you know a theater teacher in your building or someone who's being forced to put on a play, send them to ludlamdramatics.com. They have all kinds of resources to help motivate students who have never done theater before or to help teach them the basics. And it's awesome because there's really jack shit for theater teachers or anyone teaching theater at the teacher store. So go to ludlamdramatics.com to find everything. All right, my friends, I'd like to thank all of you out there for listening, continuing to support. All of those of you guys who are out there who leave reviews, they mean so much. And if you have anything you'd like us to discuss on Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast, hit us up through the contact page of our website, teacherneedsdrinkpodcast.com. All right, my friends, please help spread the word. Find one person in your building and just tell them about something you heard on this podcast. And, help spread the word that way. We're broke teachers. We don't have money for Facebook advertising. That's nonsense. Okay, my friends, I'm done babbling. Please enjoy episode 76. Damn, we've been doing this for a while. Okay, I promise I'm done babbling now. Thank you, guys.
Original thing. This is a Temper original. There is no backstory.
Well, we'll save that for the Patreon. All right, my friends, welcome to Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I am Elvis, your host, and joining me today, I have Mr. Turd Ferguson.
Watch your back. That's all I gotta say.
Ooh. And also with us today, Miss Sparkles.
Hey, y'all.
And last but not least, we have Miss Shirley Temper.
And I'm the only surefire way to disengage your temporal mandibular joint, Dr. Bitchcraft. Pew, 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 pew. That was for you, Miss Sparkles.
Yeah. All right, friends. Well, we have survived. For some of us had spring break last week. It's my spring break this week. And to start the spring break last Friday, we had a Patreon exclusive Mean Girls watch party where the hosts and I and a lot of the patrons watched Mean Girls together and got to chat and do commentary. And I was drunk because one of the games that we played was whenever they say the word Africa, you take a drink. And I hadn't seen this movie in like 20 years. And they say Africa like every 5 minutes. And yeah. And so to all the patrons who watch, forgive the typos towards the end because it was just but hey, it was a good time had by all. And I think we're going to do another Patreon watch next month. We're going to be doing the movie Bad Teacher for anyone who wants to join in. You can become a patron. And of course, we're going to have our patron exclusive review of Mean Girls on Patreon this week. I was part of it. I don't remember it. So I believe you'll hear Miss Shirley Temper do an amazing job on it. It's going to be wonderful. But guys, I'm happy you're here. I know you're taking time away. And so I kind of want to hear a little bit about you, Turd. It's been like a lifetime. What's going on with you, man?
I had a lot of shit going on, not metaphorically this time. And just...
You
Get
sure?
out.
Not
Get out right now.
Can you just say it was metaphorically?
Get out.
Men of a certain
No,
age.
there was a lot of shit that just went down. Like, I had a one-act contest, dealt with that. Other things, I mean, it's COVID, it's this, it's that, it's all the shit, all just in a not-so-neat package. Things are what things are. I had a good spring break. I actually took Elvis's advice and went to a certain location that was absolutely awesome. Kids loved it. Thank you, Elvis, for that suggestion.
Are you getting a vaccine or have you gotten a vaccine shot yet?
So I actually have both doses already.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Yay. Well, that's awesome. That means we are an almost 100% vaccinated podcast. That's so cool. I mean, I'm at 50%, but, you know, I think I might be the last. Oh, yeah.
I'm
Miss
at
Temple is
50.
50.
Yeah.
Ms. Sparkles, how are you doing, darling?
I'm really good. I am on spring break this week.
You sound zen and very peace with the world at the moment.
Yeah. So today I've been like catching up on some stuff. I did some laundry. I cleaned out my car. I colored.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
Yeah. And I watched South Park. And it's been a really good day, which I need to appreciate today and tomorrow extra because I'm still in the midst of contest season for our play. So I go back to work Wednesday with rehearsals.
Mm-hmm.
But at least I get to sleep in on Wednesday. I don't have to get up at 6. I can get up at 8.
I am so happy you were able to make time and peace for yourself and weren't doing school stuff the entire time. It's okay to have to do it sometimes because that's the nature of the beast. But I am so happy that you got to take some time for yourself. And I think everyone out there should also strive to do the same. Take some time for yourself. Get outside, read a book, do whatever makes you happy for just a little while. Even if doing like what makes you happy is whatever you do during the school year, do some of the extra of it now. I think that's highly advised.
We got an email the Sunday of the end of our spring break that they are going to start doing learning walks. It is literally like
is this a fancy word for observation?
Yes, but like casual walkthroughs to compile data and see, what good things we see in the classroom and what things we need to improve on. Bitch, it is halfway through March. Who the fuck got time for this? If you were so concerned about this, your asses should have been walking around in September, but they didn't.
It sounds like there's some kind of admin who just realized he or she might be made, responsible for data being collected over the year and is just now trying to do it?
Yeah, it's because our interim decided randomly that they wanted the job. And so now they are overcompensating by trying to do all the things that they should have literally been doing the whole fucking year. But did they? No. And here's the deal. I called my appraiser, who's a bootlicker, and I was like, listen, these walkthroughs, are they going into DMAC counting toward T-test? And he's like, no, they won't be punitive at all. I said, that is not what I asked. I said, will you go into my DMAC and put my name in, and will this go towards my T-test? And he said, no. And I said, cool, which officially means I don't give a fuck.
Help me out here. What's DMAC?
DMAC is our operating system. Basically, our T-test is electronic. Yeah. Basically, anytime that there is an observation that's an official observation, it goes into the system and it factors towards your overall score, your end of year T-test evaluation. They can be like, well, originally when I observed you, I noticed this, this, and this, but according to these walkthroughs, it says that these students weren't engaged or we didn't see differentiation of instruction on this opportunity. So I'm going to have to bring, this accomplished down to proficient.
Fuckers.
It is.
Fuckers.
So
it's a shame you didn't get it in writing. Just saying.
I don't think he knows how to write.
Broken record technique is the best one to use on kids who are not answering problems or keep trying to whirl or squirrel their way out of it. Just keep repeating the question until they finally answer it. And it's kind of like, I think a long time ago we talked about dress code, And that was one of the things Miss Sparkle said, like, no, well, you just got to say you're out of dress code. But why? You're out of dress code. Please go to the office. But I'm not doing anything. You're out of dress code. Please go to the office. But my nipple's barely visible. No, you are out of dress code. Please go to the office.
That's what I do.
Wow. Nipples?
All right. This is from the Reddits from user Worse in Reverse. Transition from high school to middle school. I've made this transition. Hi, everyone. I've recently accepted a position to teach middle school after teaching high school students for about 2 years. I've done my own research before applying for middle school positions, but I'd rather hear from personal experience. What are some of your favorite moments teaching middle schoolers? What are the best parts of the job? I've heard middle school can be tough because the kids are still so young and full of energy. How has this changed or remained the same in a remote environment? I hope it's worth it. I think I'll like teaching younger students, but it is a big change for me. Any comforting stories you have teaching middle school, lay them on me.
Oh, sweetness. There are some benefits. Middle school is not for everyone. However, for some people, middle school is the best thing ever, and they can't do they can do other things, but they can't imagine themselves being other ways. And it really just depends on your personality. Middle school is not for me, but they can be sweet. They're just kind of like elementary school kids in almost adult bodies. You just kind of have to remember that. They don't always get sarcasm, but they really want to. It's just tough, and like you think like they pull out this stuff like they can really handle it or cut some tough truths, but they also break down because they're still little babies there. It's tough. I don't know, Mr. Turd, you currently teach middle school. What can you speak to?
Yes,
I know you've done high school as well.
I'm going to echo what advice a certain person told me when I was actually interviewing for a middle school position after being in high school. And she said to me, it's just like, as long as you understand that there's going to be at least one child with a life-altering emergency every class period, you're going to be fine. And I hate to say that it's true, but it actually kind of is. So my very first day of teaching middle school, I just simply saw a female who was walking into my class, and I said, hello. And I noticed that she was already in tears. And I'm just like, this is the first day. I just simply went over there and I was just like, hey, is everything okay? And I kid you not, she was like literally saying, Bobby didn't say hi to me in the hall. And I said, did Bobby? And okay, no, I'm not. This is the part that I'm just like, okay, seriously, this cannot be. I say to her, did Bobby see you? And then she started bawling even more. She was just like, oh my God, you're saying that Bobby didn't see me?
It's a no-win scenario.
It really was.
Miss Sparkles?
I taught middle school my first 5.5 years of my teaching career. I'm on year 11. The first half of my teaching career was at middle school. Actually, at the middle school I went to when I was in middle school, and a bunch of my teachers, a bunch of my teachers were still there. The principal was still there. She did not remember me, which is good because that meant I wasn't in the principal's office that often. I actually really loved it. I love teaching high school, and it's a totally different vibe. I love that my kids now are, on their way to being adults. We can have a very different kind of relationship. It's a more mature kind of deal, even though I still dog them real hard because they're still kids. But I loved that in middle school, the kids were still willing to be silly. They were still willing to be vulnerable. They would say the most ridiculous shit.
Oh God, yes.
Like they just come out with the weirdest, like they just say the weirdest things sometimes, and they just don't think anything of it. And I was very blessed. I taught at a really great middle school. We had really great admin. My coworkers were all so awesome. Like I had a real kind of charmed middle school teaching life. But I would actually get really offended when people would ask me what I do, and I would be like, oh, I teach middle school. And they would say, oh, I'm so sorry. And I was like,
they do that for high school too.
Yeah, like,
so annoying.
I'm sorry that you teach kindergarten because that's not something I want to be doing. Those kids still need their noses wiped. They sometimes, they still pee their pants sometimes because, accidents happen. Middle school was...
Stop judging me.
Middle school overall was so fun. You get to be silly and immature a little bit too, which is also really fun to do because they really respond to that. So I loved teaching middle school, and I think when the time is right, I would totally go back to it because I really enjoyed it. I love that age group. So
I think part of the key for being a middle school teacher is you have to be able to create a very comfortable environment for the kids, because if not, they're not going to do a damn thing. They're at that age where they're so painfully aware of their existence that they don't see anything else going on around them, but they assume everyone else is looking at them. So they're very, very reluctant to speak out if they don't feel comfortable. If anything happens in class that makes them embarrassed, they might not speak in that class again without a lot of coaxing. And so it's very, very tricky. And I know that can happen in high school too, but at least in high school, I feel like they're a little more set. Like, it's not everyone's looking at me. It's that a lot of people are looking at me, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. Miss Shirley, what do you think?
Well, I've only taught high school, 15 years, just high school. But over the last few years, I do these in-person prior to COVID and virtual workshops with there's at least 1 or 2 days of just junior high kids. And I could never. Holy crap, they're babies still. And they're trying real hard to be high school kids, but they're not. I did enjoy their mind-numbing enthusiasm, but it is 100%. Like, do you ever just have those moments where you're like, this is not where I'm supposed to be? That's that for me.
Middle schoolers are just a different beast, but they're just mini little adults, but they're not quite finished cooking yet. I mean, I know that's high schoolers, but they haven't even got past like the defrosting mode yet.
Well, and it's so interesting though, because I feel like all of us who are teachers, we have our area where we're just like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is the group of people, the age I'm supposed to teach. This is the subject I'm supposed to teach. Middle school is not that for me.
Yeah, I loved it so much. And I would always I used to joke with my middle school kids. I especially loved when we got to the spring semester of their 8th grade year, because some kids I would have 2 years in a row. Because that's when they started becoming people.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I loved watching them start to become high school kids. Cause like kind of that second half of 8th grade, they're really starting that maturity starts settling in a little bit, and they start getting there. And I was like, I love watching you guys grow up and becoming big old 8th graders, because, you know, you become different people. They do. And it's so interesting to watch. There's so much growth.
If you ever go to like a middle school football game and you see the 7th grade team first, like, oh, look at them. And then you see like the 8th grade team come out, it looks like a bunch of fucking giants on the field. Like, oh my God, they're huge. What the hell happened? The one thing I really don't enjoy about 8th graders, not as much 7th graders, mostly an 8th grade thing, is that they want to try on new personalities because they can, and this is honestly the appropriate time in their life to do it. But they almost all try to do kind of like the sarcastic asshole thing for a while, and I just want to like, oh, darling, this isn't your speed. This is not a good hat for you. Please take it off. Just give it up.
I used to work with somebody who is the king of the sarcastic assholes, and the kids love him. He still teaches. He teaches high school now too. But the kids loved him when we taught middle school together, like loved him. But it's like you said, they would try to keep up with him, and it's like...
Well, I think it falls flat with some of the kids, though, is they don't know the difference between being sarcastic and being mean. And I think that's where they start to hurt each other or something. It's like, oh, it's just a prank. No, you're being a dick. That's not a prank. You're just being mean.
My rule was, if I'm not laughing, it was not a joke, and you do not get to say I was just kidding, because I'm still writing your ass up because I didn't laugh.
No, I've noticed my son checking out butts lately, and he's only 13. And I'm just like, what? Why are you checking? I mean, that is nice, but no, come on. But the kids now, they've got the phones and the internets and access to all kinds of stuff where I had to find porn in the woods. And if I had access
oh my God,
to
we're not talking about that again.
Oh my God, not the porn that was in the woods.
Oh my God.
It's been a year. I figure we can bring it back up. I'll just let it go. Okay, let's move on to our next subject. Well, this article is from the KRIS 6 News team in Corpus Christi, and the title is Texas Bill Would Raise Minimum Teacher Salary to $70,000 a year. A bill introduced in the Texas legislature aims to raise the minimum salary for all Texas teachers. The bill, if made into law, let me underscore that if, really big, would set the minimum salary at $70,000. That would be an increase of almost $13,000 from the average base salary reported by the TEA, the Texas Education Agency. It was announced by Round Rock Representative James Tellerico, announced as HB 3580. He said, "When I was a public school teacher, I struggled to make ends meet. My coworkers drove Ubers at night and sold their blood plasma for extra money. Today, I filed a bill mandating a minimum salary of $70,000 for every teacher in Texas." Why focus on teachers? Because teachers are the most important profession. Without them, there would be no other profession. Instead of just calling teachers heroes, let's pay them like heroes. Tellerico is a member of the Calendars Committee, the Public Education Committee, and the Juvenile Justice and Family Issues Committee in the state legislature of Texas. So first off, sir, thank you. Thank you so much for putting this out there. I don't know what your standing is, if you're a Democrat or Republican. Thank you so much. I feel like we're not that recognized, and I wish more people who were, from education would make, decisions about education instead of just business people who don't seem to really give a fuck. How do you guys feel about this? Because we've talked a lot, like you wouldn't be having the brain drain from education if, you paid people better.
It's never going to happen.
What?
It will absolutely never happen. You know that. But hell yes, I agree. I mean, especially this year, and I know we've talked about it a lot on this podcast. I said at the beginning of the year, I was doing exactly what my expectations were and nothing more. I've done more than that. I have. I've tried not to
pull out. It's too hard. I mean, I think some people can, but it's easier said than done.
It is. But you know what? If you gave me more money, I would absolutely be happy to do that. Education should be bipartisan. It should not be Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals. We should unified, approach these things. And God, wouldn't it be just friggin' sexy if they did? And we were going to get more money?
It's possible. There could be the chance that they see the foresight that there are a lot of teachers not returning next year. And there are a lot of teachers threatening not to return next year. There's a lot of teachers who have just left. And so this might be a stopgap if they want to, keep some more on board. Because I know a lot of people who said, hey, I'm hitting the brakes. Like, hey, we'll give you another $13,000. They'd be like, oh, okay. But I do wonder. They say $70,000 is the minimum. That's like a first-year teacher. What about someone like me who's been teaching 18 years? Does that mean I also get 70, or do I get a bump as well? Do I get 80? Could I possibly get 90 without having a master's?
Like, where's the money going to come from? Is that going to come from a state level? Because there are certain districts that just would not be able to afford that kind of hike. And then if you want to go ahead and say that a person like myself who's in like the 18th year of teaching, then our district's going to have to cough up that difference of pay for those of us who are in the veteran stage. But I mean, I'm all for it. I think it's well overdue. I think that if you want to maintain having a good quality of teacher staying in the school system, then you need to go ahead and keep us there.
But the thing is, you were talking about where would the money come from. John Oliver has already addressed this. In fact, the state's already addressed this. Any of you guys have state lottos or state gambling where the money is supposed to go to education, but instead of, they are giving it to education, but they're using it so they can spend education dollars on something else and then put the money from lotto back in its place like no one would notice. And so that money's there. You just got to let education, keep the money that's allocated to education and not give billions of dollars to, say, TEA to go buy a new building in London or the fanciest new one on 6th Street in Austin. Give $1 billion to one of the testing companies. So, I don't know. The money's there. Just the legislature has to get their, priorities straight. And who knows, maybe with, us not having power for a few weeks and, the shitstorm and then all of a sudden saying, hey, you don't need to wear masks. And everyone in the state going, yeah, we do. We don't want to take our masks off yet. It's okay. I think there's a possibility of there being a sea change, but I'm not going to cross my fingers on that. But the fact that someone is out there and is putting it out there, news organizations are reporting on it. Do you want to be the state senator who votes no on teacher raises? Because teachers do vote. We do, for the most part, mostly because they hold a lot of the elections in our schools. Hey, guys, guess what? We have a Patreon.
What? Fucking liar.
Yes, that's right. For as little as $5 to $10 a month, you can get access to bonus episodes, extra content, meet and greet with the hosts, and also you can do cool things like attend watch parties like we did for Mean Girls just last week. Great, we have it set up now, so every month you're a member of our Patreon, you get extra Teacher Needs a Drink swag, and you also get to hear about our cool events like our Step Bet, which is currently going on. We have a pool of over $1,000 and over 70 teachers and listeners out there who are part of it, all of us walking each day, so it's pretty cool, and it's all thanks to the Patreon. So do it now. Sign up for our Teacher Needs a Drink Patreon. Yay! Woo! This person calls you on the phone. The tone of their voice immediately tells you that something is wrong. I need your advice, they say. I did something very bad, but I can't tell you what I did because doing so would put you in a terrible moral position. I've always considered you a rational person, and I think you can still help me without knowing the details. I regret what I did. It was a huge mistake, and nobody knows about it except me. And if I do nothing, there's only a 5% chance it will ever be discovered. But it will always bother me, and I will always hate myself for what I did, but the problem will likely remain my own. I could, however, go back and try to fix it, but if I do that, there's a 95% chance that other lives will be damaged, certainly mine, but many others, including the lives of several people you know. You attempt to get more information about what has happened, but they refuse to give it to you. You have informed them that you can't really give practical advice about a problem you don't understand. They begin sobbing hysterically and beg for guidance. They insist that you are the only person they will listen to, and you need to tell them something. What do you tell them to do?
So first off, yes, I may insinuate, look, go fuck yourself or tell me some more details.
So here's the deal with the situation. First of all, you called me, which means you're not really my friend. My real friends know I don't answer the phone. If this can't fit in a text message, you're not my real friend. And if you're going to be a melodramatic hoe, and I can't tell you, well, then I'm not interested. You're on your own.
Miss Sparkles, what about you?
I think I'm going to have to go with Shirley on this one. I can't deal with the drams.
Mm-hmm.
Like while you were reading it, my face, you know the face I make when I really don't like something?
Your no bullshit face? Yeah.
Yeah, I was making that face. I'm making that face still because I'm just like, no.
It reminds me of dealing with a toddler where if they come up to you and they just start sobbing, it's like, yeah, you got to help me. I need words. You got to give me something here. And then in a few moments, I'm just going to be done with this. You've cried to me too much. However, I do have a couple friends where if this was out of the blue and not a friend who's like constantly in crisis, I think I would probably tell them like, hey, do the thing where you don't get caught and just get your shit together, man. All right, my friends. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I'd like to thank my host who were with me today, Mr. Turd Ferguson. It was a blessing having you back.
Thank you. And on this Ides of March, I remind you, don't trust your friends.
And also, Ms. Sparkles, it was great to hear from you.
Always nice to be on the podcast with my friends.
Yay. And of course, Ms. Shirley Temper, what are your words of wisdom?
I'm a mountain biking vampire witch from the future.
There you go. All right, my friends, remember to take care of yourselves. Enjoy your spring break if you got one coming. Take some time. And everyone, deep breaths, deep drinks. Cheers! Woo!
Cheers!
All right, my friends, thanks for joining us for another episode of Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast. Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast comes out every Wednesday and is proudly sponsored by Ludlam Dramatics. That's right, if you are a theater teacher, if you're an English teacher, history teacher, if you're any teacher and you're forced to put on some kind of play, go to ludlamdramatics.com. They have some amazing resources to inspire and motivate your students. It is really a godsend because there is really nothing for theater teachers or people teaching theater at the teacher stores. So go to Ludlam Dramatics today. I'd also like to thank all of our patrons at the Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast Patreon for helping us out and supporting us with the Step Bet Challenge, as well as with our Mean Girls Watch Party, which was awesome. You too can join our Patreon and hear lots of extra episodes, bonus episodes, lost episodes, interviews with the host, all kinds of stuff for just $5 a month. So go do it now. It's awesome. I'd also like to thank my hosts who are with me today, Miss Shirley Temper, Mr. Turd Ferguson, and Miss Sparkles, and Miss Priscilla, who's by my side while I do all of this. It's actually her birthday today. So, my friends, please take care of yourselves, enjoy your spring break, subscribe, leave a review, tell just one person you're building something you heard about us. That's all I got. Enjoy. Thanks again, my friends. I hope you listen next week. Adios. Bye.
Really? Nipples?
And that leads us to our next one.
Maybe one day you'll see a pair.
Nipples leads us to.
Yes.
I've been told there are like 2 or 3 nipples online. So, you know.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow.
Hey.
Let's wrap this up because we're going longer than I wanted. It's 8:15 and Shirley's word drunk, brain drunk, sleep drunk. That's it.
Brain tired. Brain no think.
Brain no what? Not what?